morning. Welcome to the Southern Bible Thumper channel. For this upload, we will be reading Deuteronomy chapter 20. When thou goest out to battle against thine enemies, and seest horses and chariots, and a people more than thou, be not afraid of them, for the Lord thy God is with thee, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And it shall be, when ye are come nigh unto the battle, that the priest shall approach and speak unto the people, and shall say unto them, Hear, O Israel, ye approach this day unto battle against your enemies. Let not your hearts faint, fear not, and do not tremble, neither be ye terrified because of them. For the Lord your God is he that goeth with you to fight for you against your enemies, to save you. And the officers shall speak unto the people, saying, What man is there that hath built a new house and hath not dedicated it? Let him go and return to his house, lest he die in the battle, and another man dedicate it. And what man is he that hath planted a vineyard, and hath not yet eaten of it? Let him also go and return unto his house, lest he die in the battle, and another man eat of it. And what man is there that hath betrothed a wife, and hath not taken her? Let him go and return unto his house, lest he die in the battle, and another man take her. And the officers shall speak further unto the people, and they shall say, What man is there that is fearful and faint-hearted? Let him go and return unto his house, lest his brethren's heart faint as well as his heart. And it shall be, when the officers have made an end of speaking unto the people, that they shall make captains of the armies to lead the people. When thou comest nigh unto a city to fight against it, then proclaim peace unto it. And it shall be, if it make thee answer of peace, and open unto thee, then it shall be that all the people that is found therein shall be tributaries unto thee, and they shall serve thee. And if it will make no peace with thee, but will make war against thee, then thou shalt besiege it. And when the Lord thy God hath delivered it into thine hands, thou shalt smite every male thereof with the edge of the sword. But the women, and the little ones, and the cattle, and all that is in the city, even all the spoil thereof, shalt thou take unto thyself, and thou shalt eat the spoil of thine enemies, which the Lord thy God hath given thee. Thus shalt thou do unto all the cities which are very far off from thee, which are not of the cities of these nations, but of the cities of these people, which the Lord thy God doth give thee for an inheritance. Thou shalt save alive nothing that breatheth, but thou shalt utterly destroy them, namely the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, as the Lord thy God hath commanded thee, that they teach you not to do after all their abominations, which they have done unto their gods. So should ye sin against the Lord your God. When thou shalt besiege a city a long time, and making war against it to take it, thou shalt not destroy the trees thereof by forcing an axe against them, for thou mayest eat of them, and thou shalt not cut them down. For the tree of the field is man's life, to employ them in the siege. Only the trees which thou knowest that they be not trees for meat, thou shalt destroy and cut them down, and thou shalt build bulwarks against the city that maketh war with thee, until it be subdued. Summarizing Deuteronomy chapter 20. Moses is continuing his extended farewell address to the children of Israel. This is the second generation out of Egypt. So the generation that experienced or witnessed the plagues with Pharaoh, who were in bondage, they were actual slaves. All of those people have died off. And the current audience that Moses is talking to are all the children of the people that he left Egypt with. He is the last one from his generation. He's the leader. And before he dies, he's giving this long speech where he is reviewing all the events in Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers. So the reason why Moses is not going to go in is because in Numbers chapter 20, he disobeyed God. God told him to get water for the Israelites. He would need to speak to a rock, and instead he hit the rock. And in that chapter, his sister Miriam died before anything happened. So she died at the beginning of the chapter. But because of that disobedience, then God told Aaron told Moses to take Aaron up to a mountain and he would die as well because of his disobedience. In Numbers chapter 27, God tells Moses, go ahead and anoint your successor. I said predecessor in a different video, but the correct term is successor. Anoint the person that is going to come after you to take over your role. And that's what God told Moses to do. So the significance in all of this is that Moses had the opportunity to live his life as an Egyptian. He was adopted by the Pharaoh's daughter. The Egyptians are the dominant class in Egyptian society and in their country. And so he didn't have to do this and go through all this trouble to help Israel, but he wanted to. He felt kinship and loyalty to the Hebrews, and some of the material that I've read, we haven't got to that part yet, but some of the material implies that in the future, Israel is going to go right back into idol worship. So that could be a reason why so much time, because so far I've read up to Deuteronomy chapter 24. This could be the reason why there's so much time of Moses speaking. He's been speaking since Deuteronomy chapter 1, verses 1 through 4. Israel, do not be intimidated by war. The priest will encourage you and remind you that God is with Israel. Verses 5 through 8. Officers, or leaders of the Israelite armies, will send men home who have 1. Not dedicated their home to God, 2. Have not had a chance to eat of their vineyard, or 3. Men who have not consummated their marriage, or men who are faint-hearted and scary, or faint-hearted. So guys that are, what I would call scary, a guy who's not ready to stand up to a challenge. He would rather go home. These officers will make an assessment of who's fit and send those home who aren't. Verse 9. They shall make captains of the army to lead the people. That's something I had to click on because this is more of a military type of a chain of command or something. My dad was in the Air Force, so I am somewhat familiar about chain of command, but he didn't talk to me much about his service, and that's something that I noticed with the men around me who have gone into service. They don't have much to say about being in the military, no matter what branch they are. It's just something that I think about. When we look here, officers, commanders, so the people who are making these assessments on the men that are fit to serve war, they're also going to help appoint who's going to actually lead them in war. So these officers who are making the assessments, they're not going to be the leaders. Verse 10, when you approach a city to fight against it, offer terms of peace. So don't approach them as if you want to attack, even though you know you're going to have to go to war with some of these people. Respond, and if they accept peace, then they will work for you. And it says forced labor. In the King James, it says tributaries, and that's what I read earlier. And a tributary is a person who makes tribute, so payment by one ruler to another, an acknowledgement of submission, or as the price of protection. So even though we know that all of the entries underneath the term, that term encompasses everything that's underneath it, but in order to make sense of a sentence, you use the entry that most closely aligns to what you're reading. It makes more sense that if they accept your offer of peace, then they're your tributary. They serve you as a declaration of submission. We don't want to fight, so we'll just serve you. Verse 12. If they don't accept this, if they don't accept that they're going to just be your slave, then conquer them. Kill the men, take the women, children, and valuables for yourselves. This only applies for the cities that are far from Canaan. If you fight a people that are in the promised land where they're going into now, the land of Canaan, destroy everything that breathes. And then a list of groups or tribes, group names are given to annihilate specifically. And that's, we see here, Hivites, the Amorites, the Canaanites. Verse 18, understanding that their evil ways are what contributed to their demise, will illustrate why you should reject their behavior instead of embracing it. Verses 19 through 20. When you are in a long-standing war, only cut down the trees that don't provide food. Trees of the field are a man's life. So it's also, what this is saying is, do not cut down food-producing trees. So to have tools for war, you can only use the trees that don't produce fruit. That is one thing that I was thinking about, because earlier in the Bible, in Leviticus chapter 19, Israel, they're not supposed to be eating any of this fruit until the 5th year of them being in Canaan. So it is kind of strange that if they have not had a chance to eat their of their vine, they're going to get sent home, and then also only cut down the trees are not valuable. That's also just something else that I noticed, or that just stuck out to me. If they're not supposed to be eating for the first 5 years. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. I love you. I honestly do love you. Also, remember that what other people think is none of your business. If you live life like that, you will have a much happier life. People are entitled to think what they want. What people think of you is not what God thinks, which is why you should read the Bible to determine what is God's voice. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. I love you. Have a wonderful day.